Imagine
A podcast.
where time drifts slowly,
A podcast.
where
Isaac.
carries you away.
So let me be clear. We tortured some folks.
If you don't like what we tell you to believe in, we'll kill you.
Suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, they were, all of the guards that helped protect Maduro. This is well known. Their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems that Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba that tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned.
Oh, wow, guys, we got it wrong this whole time. We were liberating Venezuela from the Cuban colonists. Hey, hi, hello, it's Isaac. You're listening to Coexist Inc. Welcome to my world, everybody. You are now living in Florida. Florida has conquered Venezuela. Marco Rubio, little Marco, this is his policy. This is his world. Miami is in charge. Que lástima. This was overdue. I haven't talked about Florida in a minute. And now that we're in Florida land, Florida universe, Florida world, I figured it was a good time to check in on the Sunshine State and what augurs you. For those of you who don't live in Florida, I've said this before, Florida is the future. We are the guinea pigs. We are the spear of insanity, and it happens here first. So, what's it gonna look like? How's it gonna be? Well, to find out, I'm joined once again by resident Florida expert Ryan Ray. We use Florida as our crystal ball to bring to you your future if we don't stop it here in Florida first. But before the show starts, I wanted to do a little bit of New Year's Eve thing where I talk about what I'm grateful for. And first, I'm very grateful for you, listener, for allowing me to do this thing that I really enjoy doing. Especially those of you who have the ability to pay. It's very sweet of you. It's very kind. Every time someone signs up, I get like a way better dopamine rush than I do. It's probably not dopamine, it's some other better chemical. But that being said, when someone unsubscribes from the show, I spiral out. It's not good, so please stop doing that. But I also want to thank the many, many guests who appeared on this show over the past year. Let's see here. I am so grateful for Dick and Don from Fourth Reich Archaeology, Dorian, aka Dank Toulouse, Clonny of Power Mapping, Theta Hamill of Nymphowars, Herman, of course, Spencer, the beautiful Merrick, fan favorite Dan Boguslaw, Alex Salmon, Brad the Rambler, Jacob Silverman, Ayup Lovely, Robert Skvarla, Ben and Giordano of Remember Shuffle, they'll come back on soon, I promise, Jimmy Brown, Nick from Corner Spati, Chris Kidd, Eyes Wide Open, Miles Klee, Breeding Castle, John Wilson, and of course, the highly moral and totally innocent Alan Dershowitz. Enjoy the show, and if you can, of course, subscribe, like, share it with your friends. Leave reviews, do the whole thing so that I can get up there, so that my metrics improve. It must be linear. Life must be linear. I'm doing a sober January, so even just talk at the bar is. I could go for a beer. I could always go for a beer, but
I'm doing a no weed. Maybe 2026. I'm definitely doing a no weed January. This is one of the biggest years of my entire life coming up, and I'm 3.5 years sober from drugs and alcohol. And I was just
Mazel.
like, thank you very much. And I'm just gonna, I know it comes from the earth and all that, but I'm gonna see how it goes.
Not the weed that you buy anymore. I keep telling people this. I keep telling them, like, and oh God, I just had someone the other day tell me, "Oh, are you sure you're smoking the right strain?" And I was like, "Are you joking? Are you doing a joke right now?" Because I've heard that a million fucking times, and I keep telling everybody, "No, I will not smoke your government weed anymore." The new weed is so fucking terrible. I wrote a story about this years ago. I looked at dispensaries in the Florida, and you couldn't find weed, couldn't find flower. Sorry, flower under 9% THC. And the weed that I grew up smoking, the mids, the Reggie, the real stuff from the earth, that was like 3%, 4%.
Oh, I mean, and it was great. I mean,
it was.
I remember this. Like, yeah, of course. I mean, shout out to regs, shout out to mids, shout out to outdoor, brown trash brickweed.
Yeah, that Reggie, that's that shit I do like. Okay.
You smoke Reggie, that's that shit I don't like. No.
I wish I could replace one vice with another that didn't make me fat. But well, maybe this can transition to the topic at hand, which is Florida. Thank you, Ryan Ray, for joining me for another Florida edition of Coexist Inc.
Of course, Isaac. Thanks for having me.
Weed is a frequent topic in Florida these days. Amendment 3, was it? That was the weed amendment that Ron DeSantis used, illegally used funds from the state to defeat the weed legalization amendment in the state of Florida. So maybe that's what we'll do. So like we usually do, we talk about Florida. Our thesis is that Florida is first. The future is Florida. If you want to see what's going to happen to the rest of you, talk to us. We'll let you know. And so we're going to present to the listeners their future. We're crystal balling it, and we're going to let you know what's happening here and what they can expect everywhere else as a consequence.
100%. It's America, but more so. And yes, we are crystal ballers.
We should do a Ron DeSantis update. I think people want to know what's going on with the meatball after his incredible crash out in 2024. I mean, he's a relatively quiet 2025, I guess. I mean, he was still selling us fucking out like at a historic rate, I would argue. But
yeah, he's facing his century of humiliation. I think that he's trying to keep a little bit of a lower profile. I think that he's still having some grandeur delusions of maybe doing something after 2028. Or up to 2028 rather. I think that he'd probably feed himself a major university post. I continue to hear grumblings about that, but yeah, he's basically everybody around town in Tallahassee is basically saying that his agenda will be DOA during this next session. This session's going to be a bloodbath for him. He's really humiliated all these backbencher state reps and senators for this entire last run, and I think that this is going to be like their payback tour. I think that he's a very, very lame duck right now, and as he plots an exit plan, not going to have a very pliant legislature, and his national profile probably has never been lower.
The last viral video I saw of him was someone yelling at him for alligator Alcatraz, alligator Auschwitz, as he's memorializing the death of Florida native or Florida resident Hulk Hogan. And he's got no riz. He'll never get it. And he just kept going, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here.
And they would play it on like a really big screen. And so like the first few WrestleManias, I think, were like that. And I remember WrestleMania 3, he was up, hey, stop. Get out of here. 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 So you used to have the closed circuit. So you would go and you would have that, and then you'd just kind of watch it. So I just remember like WrestleMania 3, he's fighting Andre the Giant.
That was the best he could do. Obviously, he does suffer from delusions of grandeur. People still throw his name out there for a potential 2028 presidential candidate. His last day, or his last day in office is January of next year. So he's got another year remaining as governor of Florida and as a most likely an elected official. I just wrote a story about your dear friend Joe Gruters, the head of the RNC of the
Peace
the
be upon
country.
him.
Peace be upon him, who was also the RNC of Florida for a period of time, amongst many other positions. And he echoed a similar sentiment that DeSantis is toast. DeSantis is no longer, and Joe Gruters gets the last laugh for sure. And yeah, I wonder what kind of lobbying, like criminality, he'll get into after the fact. I know his wife Casey has ambitions to run for the governor of Florida as well, but she's dogged by this Hope Florida scandal, which has been going on for well over a year, it seems. I looked at the most recent news about this scandal, and I think it was October of 2025. State prosecutors issued multiple subpoenas for witnesses to testify before a grand jury, and that's about it. Like we're at that point now.
The state attorney up in God's country in Florida's capital county and Leon County, Tallahassee, has, I think, much to most folks' surprise, has impaneled a grand jury to look at the Hope Florida scandal, in which actually much more than the originally reported 10 million, at least 10 million, so it seems like substantially more, was diverted from Florida's Medicaid coffers to brazenly play in elections to try to defeat super popular amendments that passed significantly, well over 50%. Amendment 3 to allow to decriminalize marijuana, essentially, and Amendment 4 that would have overturned our state's really, really extreme 6-week abortion ban.
Our unbelievably ridiculous abortion ban. Like the Florida has, I think, the most extreme abortion ban in the country. 6 weeks.
It puts us right up there with like Arkansas and Mississippi. Yeah, no, we have one of the most extreme abortion bans in the state. It's one of the most restrictive, absolutely. And common sense, average person in our community in Florida does not want that. Nonetheless, the state government intervened very intensely in a very sketchy manner to basically use our own money as taxpayers to stifle our own expression as voters.
And I do wonder what kind of disclosure is going to happen after DeSantis. Maybe some of his enemies will want to get him, but it feels like everybody's implicated in the constant criminality of the state of Florida. But he has been hiding all kinds of things. He's not following his own Transparency Act rule. I mean, I think there's a Florida Bulldog story that says, I think that, what is it? $6 billion in emergency contracts are missing. So $6 billion is unaccounted for that DeSantis handed out to his cronies. So I wonder who's going to have the chutzpah, the fucking balls to legally pursue DeSantis in his upcoming century of humiliation. Anybody, you think?
Hey, the legislature has the power to appropriate funds. I think that the slushiness of what he's done is definitely like more like that in the billions. I mean, I think that there's going to be a real. I think that the House under the upcoming speaker is really, really going to be like. I think that Ron is cruising for a bruising this session, and I don't think that be careful the way you treat people on the way up. Right, I think is very much his hubris. One of my favorite facts is that he won 0 counties in Iowa out of 99, and really squeezed every single resource that there was in this Florida state government in order to try to gain success there. Hasn't happened. Has vetoed and embarrassed people on their projects, including at times at press conferences with state legislators present, including people who sponsored those projects and things like that. Really has not treated well. I think that he's maybe some have said, I think Jay Collins and Rep. Alex Andrade have said that he is on the autism spectrum. And I don't know whether his treatment of folks in the legislature are if that's a related thing or otherwise, but he has not really been the most tactful. He has not handled his relationship with those people very well.
You know, that's going to bring me to the next. I was going to save this one for a little bit later, but I do love when people use autism as some sort of excuse for being a sociopathic, like evil.
No,
person.
he needs accommodations, man.
Yeah, I know. The accommodations he would never give someone with like an actual disability. But no offense.
Perhaps it's Medicaid
listeners.
eligible.
I just feel like if you can't qualify to be on Love on the Spectrum on the show, you don't have autism. I'm sorry. Like, I just don't think that's where I draw the line. If you would be a good character on Love on the Spectrum, you have autism. Otherwise, you're just like a weird person like everybody else. Everybody else has weird like idiosyncrasies. Like, give me a break.
I'm not gonna gatekeep autism, but I hear you.
But that brings me to something, and we'll circle back around. It's gonna be we'll meander out in the conversation about Florida today for everybody. But
little jamboree, a little round robin.
A little round robin here. I am going to be working on a story pretty soon, which I maybe shouldn't talk about ahead of time, but whatever. I'm going to do it. Rick Piccolo Jr. Do you recall? The son of the president of Sarasota Airport.
Very, very influential family in Republican politics.
Yes. And he, in April, was charged initially with 3 misdemeanor charges for exposure of sexual organs in Sarasota County. Now, they are supposed to be elevated to third-degree felonies. What he did, apparently...
That's called the Ziegler Rule.
Very deep cut for Florida people there. What he did initially was actually expose himself to people in Manatee County, was arrested, but like just kind of got left off the hook, and then did it again in Sarasota County and finally got popped. And what he would do is he would go to malls and go to like the changing rooms and then ask the young woman working at the changing room to assist him, and they should open the curtain and he'd just be there like jerking his dick off in front of her. And he did that multiple
and people
times.
gave Pee Wee Herman shit.
I know, right? It's fucking like, we gotta right the wrongs here.
It's for real. Come on.
Yeah, Pee Wee never did any. Paul never did any such thing.
That's right.
And so Mr. Piccolo Jr. here, he at the time was the media communications director of New College of Florida, which interestingly enough is the property right adjacent to the Sarasota Airport. That's just a coincidence. And in fact, Richard Corcoran, who is the president of New College, tried to purchase a big plot of land from Rick Piccolo Sr., but the FAA was like, no, you can't make that deal. That's a crazy deal you're trying to do right there. So a lot of funny things there. Now,
some things are still holy.
Yes, some things. Thank you, FAA. Great institution. Now, the funny thing is, I was just looking up the status of Mr. Piccolo Jr.'s case. It's disappeared. There is no record of where it is now. It was moved to Manatee County, but there's some real shenanigans going on here. So I'm going to be investigating this for the next couple of months, and I'll have a story about if there's something worth reporting about Mr. Piccolo Jr. But why that's relevant to Ron DeSantis' autism is because his defense for being an absolutely depraved sex fiend is that he has Parkinson's and he takes a medication that makes him impulsive and horny.
That's right.
That's a good excuse, right?
That.
All's forgiven.
So I don't know if you remember. I mean, this is like dust in the wind, right? There's like 37 crazy things in Florida ago, but the executive director of the Republican Party before the current one, like, again, it was funny because Christian Ziegler, Sarasota County School Board, Bridget Ziegler's husband, former major power player in Republican politics and MAGA world, a leading national figure, who's actually, I think, feels like he's trying to come back now.
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the former executive director, whose name escapes me, also had some insane thing where he like went missing and there was like seemed to have been reportedly on drugs or something like that Yeah, no, yeah, I did hear about that, and I hate to see if he's at any awful extenuating circumstances from his Parkinson's. Nonetheless, I think the public needs to be protected from that kind of behavior.
Absolutely. And there's a number of reasons why I think that it's super scandalous and shady. Yes, you can make the excuse that he has Parkinson's, then you shouldn't fucking hire him to work with co-eds, I would argue, be on a college campus with young women. He had previously been fired from his position working for Richard Corcoran before, when Corcoran was up in, I think it was Jefferson County. He was fired for sexually inappropriate text messages. We're not fired, but disappeared safely. Now, what's funny about this Parkinson's thing and his horny impulsiveness is it actually there was footage of him changing his plates. So he would change his plates to go commit these sexual acts, which doesn't seem very impulsive to me. That sounds very compulsive. That sounds very coordinated.
It sounds more premeditated than medicated. Am I right?
Yes, exactly. And so this argument that, he couldn't help, we didn't know, but he'd had Parkinson's for 10 years. They knew that these drugs were an issue. You would think that they would do that, but they've clearly been sweeping this shit under the rug. And your boy Isaac is about to stir up some shit. I'm excited about it. I'm excited.
God bless you. The truth is the truth. Let the chips fall where they may. I've got one thing to add immediately to it. First of all, I can't wait till you're reporting. One, I've got one minor tidbit to talk about. Urban Meyer, football coach, going to be apparently a new college trustee. Who knows what that augurs in terms of Richard Corcoran. And a potential, I've seen that this might signal a football program at the tiny 800 student school in Sarasota.
That would be crazy.
But that's the segue of all segues. Richard Corcoran was the chief of staff in the legislature to none other than Florida House Speaker Marco Rubio.
Don't worry about it, little Marco.
Who's had himself a week.
Yeah, Mr. Should we get into that? Do you want to talk about New College a little more, or do you want to get right into the Gusanos?
It all goes together, man. That's all one thing.
Let's talk about little Marco here. Let's talk about how Florida's foreign policy is now governing the world. This is what just happened the other day in Venezuela. Do you remember how you found out? It's not like one of those. It's not like a Charlie Kirk shooting. I don't think people will remember the rendition of Nicolas Maduro the same way they remember the Kirkification of America.
Yeah, I'll always remember. I actually I found out the most quotidian. I think I found out the same way that Pete Hegseth was monitoring it. I think I searched Venezuela on Twitter, hearing sort of something on X, the Everything app, and obviously, an earth-shaking thing that can never that has obviously changed the entire political economy of the world, probably permanently. And I would say, at this point, I'm so tired of being right. I know you are about
it's
this.
Sick. It sucks. I don't want to be right anymore.
Florida. Former city of West Miami city commissioner Marco Rubio now is basically, after toppling the leader of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, by no accounts a good person, or certainly someone that I'm terribly fond of. But he just, I think today, has said very, very strongly suggested that that the United States government may topple the leadership of Cuba as well. And again, this would be perhaps Miami is always important in American government and in Florida, but this is, I think, we're now seeing the most Miami time in American foreign policy history. We're at a more Miami significance than you'd have to go back, probably more than Elian Gonzalez, the Mariel boat lift. I mean, where Miami and South Florida is again at the center of the world.
And I cannot wait for it to sink into the sea. We got to get rid of Miami. I'm no fan of Miami. There are some beautiful parts of it, some beautiful people, But goddamn,
Gramps
they're
just went out of
awful, dude.
business.
They're fucking awful.
Gramps just went out of business. Old Churchill's is gone. I mean, I don't see. I mean, hey, I don't think it's doing the average person much good.
It's just a bunch of crypto, and I don't mean like crypto as in like hidden, but crypto fascists. That's what it is. Like Miami is it really is like, I think it's one of the fraud capitals of the world. It's got just cocaine everywhere there, and cocaine is just the most evil thing. I think please people stop doing cocaine. It's not.
Well, it's not good anymore, guys. It's not the 80s. Like
No.
it's really, it's not worth it. Yeah, it's the perfect like late capitalist thing. It's like odorless and just pure white. It's very expensive and extreme cruelty throughout the supply chain.
Absolutely.
It's also lame and sucks
and boring. You suck when you're on cocaine.
I don't think anyone's ever said that guy is cooler. That person is better when they're doing blow.
Only people who are doing cocaine say that. That's the only thing. It is the most hyper individualistic drug I think you can do. You don't connect or commune with anything or anyone when you're on cocaine. And every line you do, every bump you do is a bullet in the brain of a fucking innocent person. So stop doing it.
And the classic saw, the old chestnut, is that people egomaniacally getting all hopped up and starting a crazy plan for a failed restaurant or whatever. But I think that this coup in Venezuela was probably concocted in much the same way.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing that pissed me off the most about these people talking about narco terrorists. Like, you guys are so fucking coked up all the time. I mean, I've heard tales of the Palladium magazine, Peter Thiel, like New York Dime Square world is just like littered with cocaine. I mean, these people, you can just see it like crusted along the edge of their nostrils. That's the kind of mentality you get, I think, when you do a lot of cocaine. I do think you become sociopathic.
Coke sucks, and I'll go ahead and say, here's my hot take. I believe that Coke is right wing.
Absolutely. Coke is right wing. What's a left wing drug?
I think it's not really weed anymore. I think that's more like libertarian co-opted or whatever now.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I mean, I guess just good old LSDZ maybe. Mushrooms maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan ruined a lot of the psychedelics. I think that the MAGA community. Yeah,
they imperialized like DMT and everything.
They did. I mean,
was it ever good? I don't know.
DMT?
Mm-hmm. Was it ever
good
socially
doesn't describe. Good? I wish people were doing it all the time. I'd prefer that, but
a tiny ego death all the time.
Snuff. That's leftist, I guess. I don't know.
Okay,
we have to figure it out. I would just say good old like light beer is leftist now. But
to my Mick Ultra comrades out there, stay strong.
But when I found out about the Maduro rendition and the bombings in Venezuela, I was just going to bed. I woke up. They kidnapped Maduro. So I was like, I think I woke up like 5 a.m. or something to take a piss. And I'm addicted to my phone. So I just bring my phone and I sit down and I pee because I'm a feminist. I was just kind of reading about it. And I couldn't go back to sleep because I was just like, how could this happen so easily? How, like, this is supposed to be, I mean, Maduro, you could criticize the man. He's worthy of, there's lots to criticize. I would never say Venezuela's better off without him. You don't have to do the double mouth thing where it's just like, I'm against Trump, but also Maduro's a bad guy. You don't even have to add that last part. Like, please.
Well, to say the least. Go ahead.
He and Chavez made massive mistakes in their form of socialism. But the level of demonization. I mean, it's funny now, like the flat circle history, Saddam, Maduro, removing these quote unquote dictators. Saddam truly was like a bad person, but when you learn more about the context of Saddam and what he held together in the region, you're like, probably should have left him alone. But it's the same thing with Libya. Same thing with Gaddafi.
There's a-
The way people talk about these people, it's like, oh, he's a dictator. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's like whatever America does to other countries, you should be on the other side of and be like root against it. Please, like, come on.
I think that, we can expect the same sort of peace, stability, and prosperity in Latin America that we saw after the invasion of Iraq.
This is where it might be different, though. And this is where when I was tossing and turning in bed, and I kept being like, how could this just have happened so easily without any resistance, any casualties on the American side? How? And this is where I think it's going to get pretty conspiratorial, but it's actually looking quite likely that this was a deal done either with Maduro doing, I don't know if you're seeing him pose for photos right now while in custody, and like he keeps changing fits. He keeps having different Nike fleece tracksuits, and he's posing and giving thumbs up with people, and he's like in a really good mood. Not only is that very bizarre, this whole theater, but this is likely an internal coup of sorts. I think that the Chavista regime, the party, made a deal with Trump and saying, listen, we'll give you Maduro. We'll start selling oil. We'll open up more oil to you guys, but we get to remain in power. And I wouldn't be surprised if this show trial for Maduro leads to some kind of like technical, like, whoops, he's sorry, actually, we can't charge him with this, and it's not our fault. So, oops. And he goes back to Venezuela, just promising never to run and living in like a form of like political exile. That's
what happens if he's acquitted? Does he return?
Whoops, sorry.
Is he installed again? We had to take a little break.
He gets a nice little like edible arrangement apology.
We really owed Juan Guaido his turn from a few years ago, so we're gonna give him a cup of coffee, and then we can slide you back in there.
But according to Reuters, a CIA source in Maduro's inner circle helped U.S. forces track his movements in his final days right up until his capture, according to people familiar with the matter. Members of the Venezuelan military also cooperated with the United States to secure Maduro's arrest. Duh. So I think this is where it's going to be a bit different. I think that they actually made a not a smart calculation necessarily, but a very self-serving one, at least the people in power of Venezuela did, and say, all right, we know we can't win this war. We don't want to be in a protracted bloody war. So we will negotiate with the Trump administration. And what that also means is they will be throwing Iran and Cuba and any sort of coordinated resistance to American imperialism out the window. They're like, fuck it, you're on your own, Cuba. You're on your own.
So do you think that, first of all, totally, and I do, inside job? So
I
know that Maduro was pretty keen to negotiate on oil previously, and had given broad concessions, offered broad concessions about the material issues regarding oil reserves and stuff. And I don't, we haven't said it so far, but I mean, the headlines, the Tampa Bay Times today, the headline, Trump says that the United States will run the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what he said. We're going to run the place for a while. He has his way of just going out and spelling it out, right? That's couched in diplomatic language, even from these other buffoons. But he's like, oh yeah, we're going to run the country. And so what do you think the chances are? I mean, it seems to me like so far there have been no international consequences for Trump anyway. I think that this move has an insane. I think this spells the end for Ukraine. Not that maybe that was inevitable anyway, but I definitely think that China will take Taiwan. Now,
I mean, it absolutely gives them. Like, why can't they? Right?
Just
accuse Taiwan of fucking bringing fentanyl over. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
The same way that life over the past few years, I think that there's just general feeling that growth is no longer possible, and everyone is just fighting for their slice right now.
Mm-hmm.
And every local yokel in every setting, from local to international, is like trying to just break off their slice now and hold on, because it's all going to shit.
It's truly the American mentality writ large. I'm gonna get mine. That's it.
It is that is now the only logic. I mean, that political economy is the only logic that world decision makers can be looking at right now, even from a self-preservation
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry
perspective.
to all my Maoist Xi lovers out there. He ain't gonna save us. That's not going to happen.
Don't
No.
I don't think so. And I think that we're looking at an overthrow of Cuba. I mean, I'm going to say on the sooner side, honestly. That's my bet.
I don't. Why wait? I mean, I think that if anything, the bombing of Iran with zero consequences and zero protocol was just evidence enough that they're like, until they finally do something that people are like, okay, that's enough. But otherwise, we're like, yeah, whatever. And maybe like the memification of these events is bad because people are like those funny photos of Maduro, those surreal photos of Maduro. People are editing in goofy ways, giving him like a matcha latte and having him DJ and doing all this stuff. And yeah, it's funny, but it's just like it also is making it like seem not so serious what's going on. But maybe it's not serious. Maybe this is all theater because the Iran bombing turned out to be complete and total theater. I mean, they allowed the United States to bomb them and not actually affect their nuclear infrastructure, but show like, oh, look at the show of force. And then Iran called the United States ahead of time in Qatar saying, hey, we're going to send over a bunch of drones to your American airfield that you have stationed in Qatar just to keep it up, just to show the people that actually were on their sides. Have you seen the movie The Adventures of Baron Munchausen?
Part of my ignorance, I'm not.
Oh man, Terry Gilliam's movie, one of my favorite Terry Gilliam movie, period. But there's the premise of the movie is that there's like a besieged castle town, like these Turks are besieging it. But anyway, I don't want to give away the ending exactly, but it's all theater. Like the whole thing, it's like the two sides are just negotiating with each other how this war should go. It's completely coordinated, and that's just that's just how this world seems to work. But you have to die. The blood has to be shed to at least keep up the facade.
Yeah. It does seem like Trump may have discovered that people really don't want boots on the ground and people don't want a full scale invasion.
Some people do, yeah.
But do the people that matter? Well, I guess this is one where they don't care. This what surprised me so much was they didn't really care about convincing the public on this one. I don't even think they came close. They did not care. There was no pretext. There was no Nigerian yellow cake. I mean, yes, there were these old adventurism there that they shot down these boats in the Caribbean or whatever. They never
weren't even
came
buying
close.
That. People weren't buying that at all.
No, nobody supported it really. It was just like, JD Vance with the Matchbox cars, broom, broom. Like some of those people were into it, but the vast majority of the American public was not fucking with that at all. Was certainly hoping that was going to chill. Of course, they took it to the most extreme, the most extreme place, and yeah, that's chilling, man. Like I've always known. You see, again, not to make everything about Florida's internal politics, it kind of did feel like Miami-Dade County had to go red for us as a country to get to where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the conservative American political project has, and it does feel like this is something new, just like maybe 2025. It is no longer, again, with voter suppression, with all the other tools of oligarchy, they have never really. It's never really been about gaining a majority view, but it has been about gaining an electoral majority within this set of, relatively arbitrary rules and that sort of stuff. I think that in the past year, they are just in a fascist foot race to grab what they can. They are not interested. This is the clearest example that I've ever seen of the decision makers in the federal government just do not even care about manufacturing consent. They don't even care about the timeline. The theory was so attenuated. I mean, really not even an attempt was made. I think they're basically saying that we could do it. They can't stop me. And now that he's seen that that's true and no one stopped him, I don't see him. Why would he slow down?
And do you think Florida paved the way for that as well? I mean, DeSantis, I think, did a great job of precisely that.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, this is the most made in Florida. This is the most Miami thing that's ever happened in American history, I think. And again, you've got Marco Rubio right there. I think, he far from being any sort of moderating or some sort of respectable force there. I think that he would probably. I think that maybe Trump did have some interest in being the peace. No, this is a huge favor to a billionaire and the oil companies. I mean, that's what this is. He was promised that the privatization of the oil reserves is something that has long been on the menu for the American right wing and industrialists, but actually doing it in this way, I think, did require the buy-in of Rubio, and Rubio is the most Florida-tastic. I mean, he's everything. Like, he went from being the Heritage Foundation think tank laboratory, create a character that was going to be the future, has now been demoted because the Republican Party can't contain anything other than Trump. There's you see that partly right in response to DeSantis in many ways. I think that part of why Trump has elevated so many Michael Walz, fucking all these people, Pam Bondi, and Marco Rubio, who he emasculated, right? Little Marco, whatever. They said he hit chisel a bitch with a little dick, and he, basically just dismissed him. The fact that we're here, I think that Trump doesn't necessarily love this. I think that there is a wag the dog element of just his numbers are plummeting, and this is a fact. I mean, George W. Bush was going to lose in 2004 until he invaded Afghanistan and Iraq. So there's a tried and true formula. But I think that doing this here had to have the enthusiastic. Like, I think it took Florida to make Rubio. It took Florida to make Trump. And I do think that it took Rubio and Trump together to do this. I can't see any other constellation of this occurring in Latin America. It's just it's the most Florida moment in American political history.
God, that's so depressing.
Yeah, brother, it really is.
And I this was reported in Al Jazeera as well, that you'll see a lot of right wingers who will be like Nick Fuentes, the supposed America First guy, being like, based, we defeated them and we get to steal their shit. That's based. I will put this out there for legal purposes. If you ever say based to me in person, I take that as a threat against my life. And in this stand your ground state of Florida, I will shoot you. So please do not say based to me, because that means like you're threatening me. But if this was just about the stealing of Venezuelan oil for the American people, that'd be one thing. But it's not. It's about stealing oil for Venezuela, for Zionist billionaire Paul Singer's hedge fund. Delaware Judge Leonard Stark last week ordered the sale of Citgo's parent company to Amber Energy, an affiliate of the hedge fund Elliott Investment Management, for $6 billion. The investment said in a press release that the court order was backed by a group of strategic U.S. energy investors. Citgo, a Houston-based subsidiary of Venezuela's state-owned oil company, has been facing claims that it owes more than $20 billion in creditors, reflecting the broader financial woes of the South American country under U.S. sanctions, which have targeted its once profitable oil industry. So guess what that means? It ain't going to you. It's going to Israel, my friend. So it's just the most cucked thing. It's like you're committing just war crimes, and we're all going to hell, and we don't even, at least when you like go to hell, you make a deal with the devil, you get something in exchange for it. But in the Florida politics, in the politics of Miami, you don't get dick. You go to hell. You're a sin eater. You eat their sins for them, and you get
just purely taking
exchange.
a dive. It's hard to even call it transactional, right?
No,
it's just
not. It's
the politics of forfeit.
You're getting cucked, and that's what's so frustrating. I want to talk about. You and I wanted to talk about the gusanos. The gusanos. So we've been seeing. I love the U.S. Media's laundering, the manufacturing of consent. That this is what everyone's so happy now. Look at all the Venezuelans who are cheering, and like the one they keep showing this footage of this one fucking gas station in Doral, which is like the most heavily populated Venezuelan community in America, and you have all these people with posters of Machado, and they're waving flags. I found it very curious that they were at a Chevron gas station, and I wonder if that was on purpose, because Chevron is the sole U.S. operator oil company in Venezuela. It's like, I thought that was weird. Like, to go to a gas station and gather and cheer on this coup for your oil that you're not going to see any of was that on purpose? I that's driving me crazy.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to, our favorite town, Doral. And I mean, it's obviously uh, well, it's a special place. It's God's favorite place. It's the New Jerusalem down there. And I'm reminded of Citgo. Do you remember when Hugo Chavez basically used Citgo to give heating oil to elderly people in Massachusetts who are like dying? There's like he was like subsidizing
he's so evil
oil.
though. He's an evil dictator. Come on, Ryan. He's an evil guy. A bunch of Venezuelans in Miami. Are you not listening to like leftist Venezuelan voices, Ryan?
My brother-in-law is Venezuelan, and
R.I.P.
It's a land of contrasts. It's complicated, and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, the one thing that's very clear is these brazen violations of international law certainly invite further ones, and I don't think that we'll be very glad about what happened on Friday.
But
I don't think that anybody, whether you're in Venezuela or Massachusetts,
it's not good. It's not good, and that's why I just get so frustrated with like even ground news, the New York Times, especially the Miami Herald. God, I cannot read the Miami Herald unless it's Julie K. Brown, and just their celebration of this being like everyone's so happy now, and yeah, I get it. I understand that awful things happen to people in these countries. It's inevitable that when a country faces an imperialist force like the United States, like I think of it like this: like you have the barbarians at the gates, and you're in a castle, and everyone has to sacrifice in this castle, and the democracy. There's no more democracy. You cannot like worry about the whims of every individual when you are being besieged. It just doesn't work that way. And so the irony, of course, or I don't know if it's irony, but when you have these diasporic communities coming from these countries that are being oppressed because their country is being attacked by the United States, and they come to the United States, they go, and I get why they do. I would too. I get where they go, to the belly of the beast, but then they just become the most intolerable right-wing fucking freaks you can imagine. It's like you don't have to do that. You can like have. It's funny. They I feel like I guess from Cubans, I get this from Venezuelans, anyone from a communist country. It's like they want me to like to have nuance. It's like you have nuance. Why don't you have nuance? Why do I have to have nuance about this?
Hey, look. I mean, at least they're. Can they possibly be as bad as American South Africans?
I don't have to run into them too much. I have very little experience with those people, but
they don't form a political constituency in a key place like Florida. That's definitely true.
No, Venezuelans were a relatively new diasporic community that became annoying. It was always the Cubans, and the Cuba's next, and they're going to make the exact same case, and you're going to hear the exact same story that they're a dictator and that they oppress people, and it's just like, God, I will literally cry when Cuba falls. I love Cuba, and so it's tough.
Coming up, what do you think? Next month?
Who knows, man? I mean, who knows what kind of deals they're gonna make. I know that China's pretty heavily invested in lots of Cuban infrastructure as well. So I feel like there's gonna be some wheeling and dealing there. And who knows? But they're gonna open up Cuba. Like, I just don't want there to be a fucking Chipotle in Cuba, man. Like, please.
It's kind of a throwback here. We're doing tariffs and we're doing spheres of influence. We're just divvying up the world into a multipolar spheres of influence all over again. I can't say that I'm loving this throwback in our time, but I can say again, not to be, yeah, it's very, very made right here, man. Very, 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 Florida's always been at the end of the road, looking back at everybody else. And I guess this is where, so goes, as Florida goes, so goes the nation. I think that we've reached now a peak. So as Florida goes, so goes the world.
Yeah, I it could not be contained. This virus could not be contained. And I do wonder what's going to happen. I mean, we have the legislative session coming up here soon, the end of this month, right, is when it begins.
Oh yeah, let's talk that. I mean, we've got a heated governor's primary. Yeah,
well, let's start with the primary. I mean, I think is really between two people, and who's run? I don't even know is Nikki Fried running again?
No. So Nikki Fried is not running again. I think that on the Democratic side, you've got Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings, and sort of seen as a moderate African American leader with bona fides.
Is his wife Val Demings?
Certainly is.
Oh, well, that doesn't make me too happy.
Chief Demings. And then we have, I always thought that was kind of wild. She was running for Senate, and she was a member of Congress. To me, if I was a member of Congress, I'd probably have people call me congressman, but they called her chief because she used to be the chief of police in Orlando. So, hey, priorities. But also David Jolly, a very similar profile of Charlie Crist and Charlie Crist's old seat, also a party switcher. And then on the other side, you've got, I think, a much more interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, really interesting.
Just listing losers. Just like there's no one to get excited about. Sometimes. Not for the government, maybe not for governor, but
good old Byron Donalds, y'all. And I think that this is a kind of flippant one that Trump decided to get out there early. He was like, yeah, fuck it, let's just take care of this right now. And I actually agree that even if the economy gets worse, if these decisions get even more unpopular, his popularity gets even more underwater than it already is, I actually still believe in the durability of Trump's control over Republican politics to last until August. So I do think that it really is as simple as it's going to be Byron Donalds because Trump says so. I really do think so. But we have these morbid.
Who is Byron Donalds? Give me a little.
Byron Donalds is a congressman from Southwest Florida, from the Naples area, which is, again, you talk about the belly of the beast. It's clear that is more evil, maybe, or very, very high level evil on an international scale.
Boca Grande and Naples are just. Tucker Carlson lives down there half the year now. So,
dude, I mean, Rick Scott was infamously from Naples. I
think
that
is awful.
Oh man, I mean,
worse than Miami. I'd argue worse than Miami. I think we can agree,
right?
Because at least Miami has culture and history. Naples has zero of any of that.
There are a lot of cool people still in like Broward and Miami, and I'm not saying that there aren't in Naples, but they're less evident. And Byron Donalds is a congressman, African American, Republican. And he just like, for whatever reason, I think Trump was just on one. He was like, I'm gonna just like put this to bed right now. I'm gonna endorse this guy like a year and a half, super early. He's raised a ton of money from all the transactional Tallahassee sources. And I think he's got like a ridiculous like $40 million or something, I think is what it is. It's a really, really prohibitive front runner this far away from a Republican primary race. And then you have who I consider the Isaac Eager candidate in the race, our boy Jimmy Fishback.
We have over 100,000 Venezuelan migrants living right here in Florida. Let's give them a country they can move back to so we can remigrate them out of here, whether they want to or not. It's time for them to go. And so I am against foreign wars. I am against military intervention that leads to nation building. But as America First, I think we have to recognize this old principle of the Monroe Doctrine. We have to own what happens in our hemisphere. Principally because what happens in Venezuela is directly affecting communities right here in my state of Florida.
Who is like me?
Rooting through, of course, I'm just kidding. But he's really, I mean, that's a rancid individual who I think is a morbid symptom of where Republican politics is today. Extraordinarily online. He's the man from online.
He is the Nick Fuentes candidate in the race for governor. I didn't realize, but he was on the Jubilee thing debating, God, what's his name? ZDO guy.
Oh, gosh.
MSNBC.
Oh, yes. Come on.
Mehdi Hassan.
Yeah, Mehdi Hassan. Yes, Mehdi Hassan.
He was one of the far right, one of the 20 far right youngins who debated Mehdi Hassan in that Jubilee video.
I guess. So yeah. First of all, wow. It could not be a more nihilistic, nothing matters expression of online shit. I mean, Twitter, alligator Twitter, man. If you really want to kill your soul, spend a little time on like fake bot alligator emoji Twitter. I mean, that will really. I mean.
Max Nordau, Christina Pushaw, that
man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. And so this man comes straight out of them. Now, Donald's is taken from the rib of Trump. He's the Trump guy. Is there a non-Trump lane in Republican politics right now? I don't know. Maybe some people think that he'll be so unpopular by this year, now August of this year, that he'll I do think that there is another lane. And I think that James Fishback has talked about a interesting throwback. First of all, he has he's doing some shuffling. He's doing some scrambling of the circuits. On the far right, he is first of all a mixture of new and old. Old, he's going back to the well of straight up racism against his opponent. James Fishback is calling Byron Donalds a slave to the special interests. All cap slave. I mean, he's just basically essentially saying, hey, Republican primary voters, I know that you like Donald Trump, but Byron Donalds is black. Hello. So, wow. I mean, sheesh. He's probably shifting a lot of votes by doing that, I have to wager. But then he's also offered up an interesting plan. One of his policy planks, a sort of policy platform plank that he's proposed is taking all of the money that the state and all counties in Florida, 67 counties, pension systems, different investments, states, investment. He wants to divest all of that from Israel and use it to fund, because we fund Israeli bonds in the Florida state government. I think way more than comparable to the federal government, certainly far more than any other state. And using that to sort of Fuentes Carlson stuff here, and using it to provide money for down payment assistance for working Florida married couples only. So I mean, he's doing some extreme social engineering. Married, though, is he? What's that?
He's not married.
I don't think he is. No.
That's funny. The other throwback thing he was doing, it's one of those things where it's like that. I'm not opposed to that necessarily. Also,
that's why he's Isaac Eager candidate.
Yeah, he wants to bring back trains in Florida, and I was just like, oh, okay. But the thing is you're a moron if you think he means it. Like, it's not gonna happen. Like, this guy Fuentes Carlson, I've said this on previous shows, they are Zionists. They just also hate Jews. They want in Israel what they have in Israel. They want to hear. So it has nothing to do with like the immorality of Israel. It has everything to do with their envy and their hatred of Jews. Fishback is funny because, first of all, his name is fucking Fishback. What?
Well, he can't help that.
You can't win with a name like that. You can change it. That's what JD Vance did. You can change it. He proved it. So he comes from the financial world. He's very young. I think he's only 30 years old, which is crazy. I
didn't realize that. It makes sense though because of how
stupid
online adults.
Yeah.
It's like and stupid.
Maybe you could see like the Florida grandmas being, oh, he's so cute, I'll vote for him. But come on, they don't like, they're not going to vote for a young.
For the record, I do not believe he seems like a nice young man.
No. But he, I got a little dossier on him. That is really weak. I could have done a better job. Like this guy who gave it to me was talking up, being like, we got a dossier. He said dossier. And I was like, okay, give it to me. Let me check it out. And I read it and I was like, weak, dude. The only thing they got that was already reported on, and it was probably from their research initially, he was, there was a court case against him for emotional abuse, basically, but it was brought forth by his former fiance, who he met when she was 16 and he was 26, 27, and he was her boss. And they got married, or they got engaged at 18. Which means I'm assuming they didn't wait until their wedding night to consummate their love. But also marrying an 18-year-old who's your employee doesn't scream good judgment to me. So
I think it suggests a bold new vision for Florida state government.
But he doesn't stand a chance. I mean, Trump's already endorsed him. I think he knows his chances are small, and I think that he's going to do the Vivek thing. I think he's going to use this as a platform to market himself as a character. And so we're going to have to deal with this fucking snot-nosed little brat for years to come, unless people get bored of his shtick, which I think people already are bored of it. But he's doing the based edits. He's being really anti-Semitic, but disguising it as criticism of Israel. It's all very embarrassing. He's wearing America First hats. He's meeting with Nick Fuentes. He just wants to be friends with people on the internet. That's all it is.
Well, there's some controversy over whether he is actually the DeSantis candidate or not. You know, Jay Collins. Yeah, I know. Who the hell is that? Exactly. The lieutenant governor of Florida, former state senator, who like repelled from a helicopter for something as part of his kickoff. He was going to try to be the DeSantis candidate for governor, because they're still trying to populate that lane with somebody. Originally, Casey DeSantis was thought to be the choice to do like a George and Lurleen Wallace situation. I think that the Hope Florida scandal and Republicans actually caring about the Hope Florida scandal seems to have really.
Also, she's not a very nice lady, I hear, and people don't like her.
I think that her campaign is terminally screwed there, and maybe that's true, but I think that may be nicer than Ron. But hey, it's a sliding
low bar.
It's a very low bar, and so Collins, lieutenant governor, handpicked for that role, very ceremonial only role of Florida's lieutenant governor, whose portfolio consists of only whatever the governor gives them. He was going to be the DeSantis candidate, and then I think he really was like, my grandparents and stuff in Tampa were talking about the market was flooded with like Jay Collins stuff. There's a political committee. I don't think he caught enough momentum to even try. So I think that they're going to try to shelf him. They're mothballing the Collins campaign. I don't think that DeSantis on Maine and like the office of the governor wants to be seen as supporting Fishback. But I do think that James Fishback has claimed DeSantis and says, I want to succeed Ron DeSantis as Florida's next governor. He's very much trying to say, hey, we are trying to create that association. And I think that there's a lot of online back and forth about whether, there's a view that DeSantis staffers are behind Fishback and are communicating on his behalf and that sort of thing.
I've heard as much. The Ootmeyers, the Griffins, the Pushaws are in cahoots with Fishback. I mean, we must remember that in DeSantis's initial campaign, he had those based edits with the Sonnenrad in it. And still, I don't think he stands a chance.
Probably not. I think that he'll win the under 40s, but I think that the Republican the GOP primary in Florida is a lot older than 40. So I think that you're right.
It is interesting though, and we should get back to our good old boy Byron, and his beautiful wife Erica, spelled the same way as Erica Kirk with a K.
Erica Kirk.
Erica Kirk, and it is funny. I mean, one thing we could potentially enjoy from a Byron Donalds governorship is the word miscegenation coming up a lot more than usual. He's married to a white wife, and I think that'll make the fishbacks of Florida very angry. So we can enjoy that component of it. But don't be fooled by their progressive relationship. Erica is a fraudster. She has a charter business, and she cut side deals with a construction firm. So she has been she's a little rascal. She's a little financial rascal doing the Florida thing, which is just like scamming people as with their own money.
Major shout out. Yes, of course, it is all a grift. The same way that everything is a foot race to get mine in terms of Taiwan, Venezuela,
Public schools.
Public school. I mean, my God, all that. It's the same, of course. Yeah, they're cannibalizing public goods for the benefit of a few small terrible grifters. And big shout out to revealing this with Florida Bulldog and Will Brederman with the awesome scoop. I think just came out like today or yesterday. Super super interesting about very 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 Bridget Ziegler like behavior and again never small government. Honesty, integrity oriented people, draining the swamp people who, of course, are always completely funded by taxpayer money and are always ripping off, the John Q. public.
And I think that she's going to be a perfect first lady because she's got her charter school schemes going. And this is what I think the rest of the country can expect. And it's happening in Florida right now, which is the complete dismantling of public education. We saw this in New College and the way that they use public funds for their private organizations. I mean, I'd argue that New College is effectively half privatized at this point, and that they're just like giving out money, just like bleeding the state's funds to pay for their incredible grift they pulled here, destroying a once great institution to just to pay themselves. And what you're seeing, this has been happening a lot here in Sarasota. There's a new law passed this past legislative session, a DeSantis law, that basically allows charter schools to occupy public school buildings if they aren't in use. And now the school, I think the school board the local school board and superintendent have to agree to it. And some have, but I think I read over 490 applications, I believe, for various public schools in the state of Florida by these charter schools. And basically what it will do is it allow these charter schools to colonize, to basically like colonize our public institutions and ideally destroy them entirely.
They will create Bantustans, right? Like they really will colonize our public schools. You have this truly hideous arrangement in Florida where a growing number of low quality homeschool arrangements and right wing, again, generally unaccredited or accredited to an incredibly insufficient degree programs getting paid exactly the same as what a child in public school gets. Just basically, you have homeschoolers. You got someone with 5 kids getting $8,000 each, right? So you have basically people just basically financing their entire kind of like, raising their brewed without was totally publicly subsidized way. And at the same time, if they want to play, so you're already you're siphoning money from public schools. I don't have any problem. I mean, I probably don't think that these homeschools are good for the kids, but in most cases, but I do think that, okay, if maybe you should have the right to do that. I don't think they have the right to get the same funding and taking that directly out of a public school. But not only that, you have people that are getting paid, taking money out of district money to have a low quality homeschool situation at their house, teaching these children God knows what as literacy rates plummet, and we needed the exact opposite going on. But if there's a program at a school, like a sports program or theater program or whatever, they must include you there. So you've got the wear and tear, whatever on sports fields, athletic equipment, all that stuff. That also is siphoned away. So you get it coming and going, with just really, really extracting funding in a destructive way from public neighborhood schools, like the ones I went to, which were good, and a public good that I think everyone believes in. And not only that, now they've taken it to its logical conclusion of just, oh, well, if your school is below a certain capacity, by the way, because we've created every incentive in the world for the people to leave, we can actually use the physical space on campus to have our strip mall, school at. So it's really brutal. Like you've seen school districts take brave stances and deny a lot of these applications. And you even see Matt Gates's father, Daddy Gates, Don Gates, who is now back for his another stint in the legislature and the state senate from Northwest Florida, the Panhandle. He said that these charter school bills, like the Schools of Hope, needs to be rewritten. So I think that he even sees just the total dwindling of funds, and the sclerotic, destruction of our public schools, probably going a little too far. I know that rural districts in Texas and Republican areas are screaming about how vouchers are stealing their public schools' futures. And I think we're seeing it here too. Whether the voice of reason can be heard in this climate and this environment remains to be seen. But there is a recognition, I think, that we really are destroying public schools in Florida. And as we know, we destroy public education in Florida, probably destroy it in America.
You're also seeing a Florida. In Florida, we don't pay income tax. We pay sales and property. Those are the two main sources of income, I believe, right? Maybe some business taxes here and there too. But
some fees, that kind of thing. But that's primarily it.
They are going to try to eliminate the property tax in the state of Florida this coming legislative session. How likely do you think that is?
Well, I mean, it's crazy because there's two things that are equally crazy. Well, that maybe is a little bit wilder. Redistricting mid-decade also may happen, which again, to talk about, has totally changed the politics of Florida. But I'm a true 50-50 on this. There's so many incentives to people to demagogue and grandstand on this. Everybody, it's like term limits. Everyone likes the way it sounds. It's a sort of popular thing that sounds good on the face of it.
I don't want to tell
anybody,
taxes.
hey, I voted, pay less money. Okay, that sounds good, but it truly would cripple the public services in Florida. And again, Florida's infrastructure is probably the most strained. We are extreme levels of growth, some of the highest levels of growth, although that's beginning to change. But historically, over the past few decades, in the last 5 years, we're seeing more in migration than any other state in the country. Growth has not even come close. Infrastructure and services have not even come close to catching up with the strain and the population growth. And eliminating property taxes would just be the death knell of even reasonable Band-Aid patchwork government that we have. It's kind of like, it's a bad idea. So maybe it won't pass, but I mean, it's like, I feel like it's about as likely as toppling Cuba. So maybe, very likely. Yeah, very likely. Yeah. Would it pass? Would it reach the 60% threshold in the state of Florida? I think the voters might have to kill it. My prediction, ultimately, They do pass the bill. It does go to the ballot. They abuse the state government and try to flog it with millions and millions of dollars and push people for it. I think it dies in the high 50s. I think it probably gets about what the abortion and marijuana ballot amendments got.
Mm-hmm.
But-
Then, and I think you can kind of expect efforts like this across the country as well. I mean, Trump has already proposed getting rid of the income tax, which is like, okay. What you're also seeing, and at least we saw before this past year, was we saw the largest single increase in electric bills in the state in history, I believe. Florida, the monopoly, Florida Power and Light, even though it goes against all the regulations. I mean, the state still gets to determine the rate hikes that they're allowed to do. Has basically been like, yeah, it's fine, you can do it. And I think it's like $6 billion they're increasing.
All DeSantis appointees
$7
approved
billion,
that.
yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. The largest thing, and again, as data centers and as crazy growth begin to strain our electricity capacity even more.
It's too hot in Florida for data centers, though.
I think it is, but
I think
anything to not happen here?
Eventually, it'll get here, and then I believe Mosaic, our phosphate monopoly,
yes,
has managed to change the laws, legal laws about whether residents who live on former phosphate mines can sue Mosaic for their inevitable awful health issues that will arise from living on irradiated soil.
Yeah.
So I think there's another story in Florida Bulldog I saw that some evil lawyers are going to petition the Trump administration to change certain environmental lawsuits against Carnival Cruises, the Miami-based cruise line. And so that means that, but any sort of like regulatory infrastructure that kept us safe is going to be gone. Like it's just the complete Wild West of corporate malfeasance is what you'll see in Florida. And then again, you'll see it exported to America and the world.
We might get, so the Carnival cruise line, the cruise line industry, extraordinary. Shout out to Jason Garcia for a lot of great reporting on this. Seeking Rants, his amazing site and podcast. You know, he talked about how the cruise lines talk about subverting democracy and how that was born in Florida. This current iteration of it was very Florida. There's a community, Key West, honestly, you know, one of the great Florida places. They decided they did democracy together. They went ahead and passed, like overwhelmingly, like 2/3 approved restrictions on the girth, the size of the cruise ships that can come and dock in the Keys, because they're literally just absolutely just decimating coral reef down there. One of the most active and important coral reefs in the entire world, and again, could not be more important right now with climate change. Basically, just absolute bare minimum resiliency that needs to be protected for any number of reasons that are just obvious. But they decided that they wanted to stop these huge cruise ships, which are getting larger and larger, from destroying the coral reef. So they as a community say, hey, we handle through our government infrastructure certain size ships. We want to limit them so that these super mega cruise lines can't come there. That was met by the Florida legislature by an attempt to abolish the city, to literally say, City of Key West, we're just going to, you'll be part of the county. This whole one of the most iconic cities that's existed forever and ever, one of the oldest and most recognizable places, locales of any kind of Florida. We're just going to destroy you for you having the audacity to try to implement a reasonable environmental rule in your own community. So I wouldn't put anything past them, and they certainly have shown that they have a ton of clout.
Mm-hmm. I hate. Have you ever been on a cruise before?
I went to Cozumel with my dad at one point, sometime in high school. It's not really my thing.
it shouldn't be anyone's thing. This is where I just don't believe in freedom of choice. Like, if you shouldn't be able to choose to go on a cruise ship. It's disgusting. It's so, I mean, I don't know. Or at least there should be less of them. Is there anything else you wanted to add? I got one more topic on the docket, but is there anything else you wanted to add about the future of Florida and the world?
Well, as just a tiny bit of optimism, just a tiny glimmer of hope.
We need that. We want to finish with optimism. I guess I got one more.
Let's do it. Yeah, sure. I think that
Okay.
I kind of suspect. Well, go ahead. Yeah. Let's do one more first.
Florida aesthetics are being exported. The Mar-a-Lago face, famously, which is a Florida born aesthetic. That's everywhere now too. So people are going to start looking more like Floridians, I suppose.
Wow, Mar-a-Lago face, which I really became familiar with in Sarasota.
Really?
I think that when it comes to plastic surgery, Sarasota can't be too far behind them. And again, we know that Gruters, Trump, Sarasota phenomena, to me, just as much as Palm Beach. And yeah, I mean, the global obsession and people getting Botox and stuff younger and younger, I think is extraordinarily connected to Florida and Mar-a-Lago. And absolutely, like it has gone from being this kind of like other sideshow to just being like how life is. I mean, I hate to keep on propounding that, but it is the case. I mean, people's faces, like I feel like there's something that I call Southern face, where some people just have like, I guess you're born and bred, your face just looks like that. There's like SEC kind of physiognomy that you can just see on people's faces. Mar-a-Lago face with the grotesque plastic surgery to fit in with them. I mean, yeah, man, Nancy Mace was such a wonderful canvas, and I can't believe she went and did that to herself, and it's because of Florida.
Kristi Noem is the real, crazy looking one.
That is a true. We need to get a side by side on that. That is like.
That's a doozy. It is something to behold, and it is something. There is very spiritually Florida. Unfortunately, I don't say that proudly. To look this way.
The deer in the headlights look permanently, which again, I feel like it's just like everything's a subscription now, including that. You just rent this surgery. You have to go do it and do it again. It's like, you have to keep on fixing it.
They definitely don't do it one time. It's a planned obsolescence aesthetic, I suppose. Yeah, is what it is.
It's this talk about men before. That's getting a little Botox, a little fix. That's the real gateway drug.
So what are you optimistic about for the future then?
Well,
and
I've said it before and been wrong, but this time is different. I think that people have had enough. I think that 2026 is going to be the bluest year. I think that since 2006, I think that we're going to have a wave election. I think that the calculus in Florida, let's say, for instance, I mean, to change the districts, you have extreme gerrymandered, you have a state, a purple-ish state, which again, I understand was lost by the Democrats by 18 points a few years ago to Ron DeSantis re-election. I get it. But in 2018, we were just 30,000 votes away from having a Democratic governor. We have, I think it's like 20-8 or something like that. We have 20 Republican seats and just 8 Democratic seats. Obviously, that's a lot more than 51% of the seats. They want to pursue a mid-decade redistricting, such as failed in Indiana the other day, very importantly. Now, Texas, those maps are being upheld. That's probably going to be upheld by the I think that has been upheld by the Supreme Court. So that's done. We are going to chip those seats in Texas. But I think in Florida, I really believe this, I think that if you take it far beyond that, I think that they're looking at a map that puts it to 25-3. I think if you create a bunch of Trump plus 3 seats in Congress in the U.S. House in Florida, that Democrats will win them in 2026. I really think that that's a serious possibility, and I think that they're getting cold feet and having second thoughts about that. Now, look at what these people just did. Nothing. I wouldn't put anything past them and playing games with the elections. Haha. Florida has a little bit of a history of that. But I think that the average person, yes, of course, the average Floridian, because as we know now, the average person is an average Floridian. If average Floridian is the world's mean person now, people don't like this. I really believe that people don't like this, and I think that will show up in a reduced way, in a way that will have some regrettable aspects. But I really think it'll show up in the 2026 elections. That's my optimistic 2 cents.
And I will vote. I'm even considering running for city commission this year. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I've got a handful of plans. We'll see which ones manifest. I need more hope in my life. I feel discouraged by a lot of things, and they're very online things, which is unfortunate. Whenever I get out in the world, I'm much happier. So hopefully it's a year of being outdoors a lot more often. I was on Facebook, which I never am because it's a depressing place, but Facebook Marketplace has been fun lately. But I stumbled upon there was a video, and it was a Florida panther. Someone was on a swamp buggy somewhere down south, and a Florida panther like jumped out from the grass, and it didn't look well. It looked like one of its eyes didn't work. They're like, is it blind? But anyway, it's just always cool seeing a Florida panther. But the comments were so depressing because people were saying that there are too many Florida panthers. That in fact they've lied to us, and now there are too many Florida panthers, and they're killing all of the deer, and that's why there are no more deer in Florida, and so we actually have to start hunting Florida panthers. And the amount of people who are agreeing with this, now this is Facebook. No, it's all very botted, but some of this, I looked at their profiles and I was like, yeah, this is a real person saying like the stupidest thing on earth. And I see stuff like this, and I'm just like, damn, like, I don't want to believe in culling human beings. I don't want to do that.
I don't want to believe in culling Florida Panthers.
Especially, I will cull the suburbs before I cull a Florida Panther. I'll put it there. But I think that I still think that there is hope in Florida, and that it's wild here, and shit wants to grow, and if you let it grow, it comes. There's lots of feel-good stories about species and habitats being restored relatively quickly. It's there for the taking. It's not hopeless, but goddamn, if we got people believing that there's too many Florida panthers, I don't know what to say sometimes. It's like, who told them that? How did that become a thing?
I'm absolutely, I don't put anything past anyone in Florida. That actually is a scorching. I'm actually completely befuddled by that one. And I don't know. I don't know what to say. I do think a better Florida is possible. But yeah, that one hurts.
Yeah.
That one stings, I gotta say.
I think we need to be washed clean by a great hurricane is what we need.
Oh no. Well, the hurricanes keep coming, and it just consolidates the ownership. And
don't kick the Jews out of Florida, because then they'll make the hurricanes hit Florida harder.
With the lasers. Hey, shout out to whoever was controlling the weather this year. We had great.
It was pretty nice. It was pretty nice. But unfortunately, Marjorie Taylor Greene vindication. Did you see that Israel just debuted its giant space laser defense weapon? Whoops.
So you're believing the Marge comeback tour? You're hot on the Marge comeback tour?
No. Never.
Whatever. As Captain Ron said, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen out there, and out there is now officially Florida. Space lasers notwithstanding, please don't let if you're listening, please don't kill a Florida panther. Also, don't kill a black bear. That itself was insane.
I didn't even see the numbers of that yet, but
they've been withheld. They're not releasing them.
Of course. Oh my God.
Sunshine State with sunshine laws, baby.
Oh my God. Yeah. So stop rooting again. Here's where you should be hopeful. You should be hopeful for Florida because it's coming for you too. If we don't stop it here, it's gonna spread. The disease is going to spread. Your mother will get Mar-a-Lago face. So stop looking at Florida and thumbing your nose at us. You know, it's we're all in this together.
You have to fix Florida. If you're hearing this, you have to fix Florida. Because it will come for you. That's right. It will come for your own family. Trust me. I mean, it has for many folks.
Ryan, where can people find you and your thoughts?
I'm really, really excited for this year of my podcast, Tropical Depression. It's going to be the best year that we've had. We've had a lot of great things happening for the last couple of years. One of our last guests, Nathan Pemberton, who's went to New College actually and was my roommate in Tallahassee, just got hired by the New York freaking Times, covering the far right and all that stuff. Tropical Depression head. Our friend Alec Dienthal, also an alum at Florida Person, just got published in the Paris Review again for the second time. So that's the Tropical Depression bump, rising all boats. So you can find us at TropDepPod on all of the social media platforms. Check us out, Tropical Depression. Give us a listen, including some wonderful back episodes, including our fearless leader, yours truly, and Isaac Eager. A James Fishback Democrat.
James Backfish. Okay, brother. Very fun. I'll hopefully see you soon this year.
Let's do it. Let's hang out. And if people in Florida, let's all hang out with each other.
Yeah, let's all hang out. Hit me up.
Bang my line.
See you, dude.
Peace.
Mercedes está bañando en las orillas de un río. Mis ojos la están mirando, pero es de un amigo mío. Yo no quisiera mirarla, pero no tengo la culpa. Me parece una esmeralda con flores de chupa chupa. Que yo le avise a mi amigo, muy difícil me resulta. Yo no quisiera mirarla, pero no tengo la culpa. Me parece una esmeralda con flores de chupa chupa.